Have you ever wondered what movies looked like before the rules? Tonight, we're diving into 15 legendary pre-code comedies that were just too risque for their time. Films so audacious they still have the power to shock, surprise, and make us laugh nearly a century later. Ready to meet the movies that scandalized America and changed Hollywood forever? Let's begin. RedHeaded Woman, 1932. Let's talk about a movie that defined the phrase, trouble with a capital T. RedHeaded Woman is a comedy that didn't just ruffle feathers, it sent critics and censors running for their rule books. Jean Harlow stars as Lil Andrews, a secretary with big dreams and an even bigger knack for bending the world to her will. Lil isn't shy about her ambitions. She's determined to rise above her station, and she has no problem using her charm and a disarming smile to get there. What makes this movie stand out, even decades later, is just how bold Lil is about breaking every so-called rule. She isn't interested in playing nice, and she certainly isn't content to wait for life to come to her. She targets her wealthy married boss, and the film doesn't shy away from showing her determination to get what she wants, no matter who gets in the way. In a time when films were supposed to uphold traditional values, here was a character who cheerfully ignored them all. The movie's dialogue is quick, sharp, and full of lines that make you wonder how they got past the censors. Harlow delivers her zingers with such confidence that you can't help but root for her, even as she stirs up chaos. Critics of the day called it immoral, but audiences couldn't look away. In fact, the more the moral guardians complained, the more people flocked to see just what all the fuss was about. Today, RedHeaded Woman stands as a monument to pre-code Hollywood's audacity. It's a reminder that before the rules locked Hollywood down, there was a brief, sparkling moment when a determined woman could steal every scene, every heart, and maybe even a mansion or two. Babyface, 1933. If you've ever heard the phrase climbing the ladder, you might not know that Barbara Stanwyck built that ladder herself in Babyface. This movie is famous for pushing boundaries. Stanwyck plays Lily Powers, a young woman raised in tough circumstances, determined never to be powerless again. Her secret weapon? Her wits and her unshakable resolve. Guided by the words of a philosophical friend, Lily sets out for New York City. There, she maneuvers through the world of business, moving from one job to the next, always upward and always on her own terms. What shocked audiences then, and still surprises viewers today, is just how openly the film shows her using charm, cleverness, and opportunity to secure her future. Babyface doesn't judge Lily. Instead, it almost dares the viewer to admire her. In scene after scene, Lily's confidence and resourcefulness carry her through obstacles that would flatten a lesser character. She's not just a survivor, she's a force of nature, and the film gives her room to be both flawed and fascinating. When Babyface was released, it caused an uproar. Critics declared it indecent. Audiences turned out in droves. The censors demanded cuts, but by then, the legend was made. Here was a story about ambition, strength, and the lengths people will go to in pursuit of something better. Nearly a century later, Babyface still feels surprisingly modern. It's a pre-code classic that proves cleverness, confidence, and a little rebellion never go out of style. Trouble in Paradise, 1932. For anyone who thinks old movies are predictable, Trouble in Paradise is here to change your mind. This is director Ernst Lubitsch at his clever best, a sophisticated romantic caper that's equal parts wet, charm, and gentle mischief. Our story centers on a pair of high-class thieves, Gaston and Lily, who join forces to pull off an elaborate scheme involving a wealthy perfume heiress. What follows is a whirlwind of deception, attraction, and sly double crosses. The film sparkles with dialogue that's both sharp and suggestive, often saying more with a raised eyebrow or a sly smile than with actual words. What made this film so daring in its time? For one thing, it refuses to pass judgment on its main characters. Instead, it revels in their cleverness and sophistication. The chemistry between the leads is palpable, the banter is quick, and every scene is layered with double meaning. Gaston and Lily are equals, each trying to outwit the other and the world. When Trouble in Paradise debuted, it was praised for its elegance and criticized for its lack of moral lessons. The idea that two thieves could be charming, lovable, and successful without paying the price was almost unthinkable in Hollywood's later, more restrictive years. But here's the secret. That's exactly why the movie works. Trouble in Paradise is a comedy for grown-ups, filled with subtlety, wit, and a celebration of clever people doing clever things. It's proof that sometimes a little mischief is the best ingredient for romance and comedy. She Done Him Wrong, 1933. When it comes to breaking the mold, nobody did it quite like Mae West. In She Done Him Wrong, she brings her signature blend of humor, boldness, and undeniable charisma to the role of Lady Lou, a nightclub singer who knows exactly what she wants. Mae West's Lady Lou is a master of the witty comeback, the sly glance, and the slow, deliberate entrance. She doesn't chase trouble. It comes looking for her. Surrounded by a cast of hopeful suitors and shifty criminals, Lady Lou handles every challenge with a grin and a quip that leaves everyone else scrambling to keep up. What set this movie apart wasn't just the daring dialogue, though there's plenty of that. It was the way West's character owned her choices. She was strong, funny, and always in control of her destiny. At a time when women on screen were often expected to play by the rules, Lady Lou rewrote them. She Done Him Wrong drew plenty of criticism from those who thought it was just too much fun for its own good. But Mae West didn't care. She famously said, "I believe in censorship. I made a fortune out of it." And she was right. Audiences loved her. And the more the critics complained, the more people lined up to see what all the fuss was about. The film is packed with sharp one-liners and unforgettable moments, all delivered with that signature West wink. Even today, She Done Him Wrong is a lesson in how to steal the spotlight and keep it. Designed for Living, 1933. Designed for Living takes the idea of romance and turns it on its head. Ernst Lubitsch returns with a story that's as modern as anything you'll find today. A comedy about three friends who just can't decide on the rules of love, so they make their own. Gilda, Tom, and George are an unusual trio. Instead of fighting over each other, they decide to live together and see what happens. The film doesn't shy away from the complications, the laughter, or the moments of jealousy that come with such an arrangement. But instead of judging, it lets the characters figure things out for themselves. What made this movie such a sensation and a scandal was its open embrace of unconventional relationships. The script, adapted by Noel Coward, is full of sparkling wit and clever dialogue. The chemistry between the leads is undeniable, and their adventures are as charming as they are unexpected. Audiences in 1933 were stunned. Was this really a movie about three people just living together, without anyone insisting on a tidy moral conclusion? Designed for Living was daring, funny, and completely unlike anything else in theaters at the time. Today, it's celebrated as a classic example of pre-code Hollywood's willingness to explore new ideas about love, friendship, and everything in between. It's proof that sometimes the best way to find happiness is to make your own rules and laugh along the way. The Divorcee, 1930. When it comes to shattering expectations, The Divorcee is a landmark. Norma Shearer stars as Jerry, a sophisticated woman whose comfortable life is turned upside down when she discovers her husband has strayed. Rather than accept the double standards of the time, Jerry makes a choice that stunned 1930s audiences. She decides to live by her own rules. Jerry's journey is one of self-discovery and, most importantly, self-respect. Rather than hide away or forgive and forget, she steps out into the world, determined to experience life as fully as any man. The film isn't just about the end of a marriage, it's about what comes after. And it challenges the era's assumptions about forgiveness, blame, and starting over. What truly made The Divorcee so groundbreaking wasn't just Jerry's actions, but the way the film treats her. Instead of punishing her for her choices, the story asks viewers to empathize with her journey and see her strength. The movie's dialogue is full of quick wit and clever exchanges, and Norma Shearer's performance radiates both vulnerability and quiet power. At the time, some critics were shocked, while others celebrated the film's honesty. Audiences flocked to see it, and Shearer won an Academy Award for her role. The divorcee remains a powerful reminder of how pre-code Hollywood dared to ask big questions about relationships, forgiveness, and independence, questions that still resonate today. Jewel Robbery, 1932. Sometimes, the best comedies blend charm and suspense, and Jewel Robbery does exactly that. This sparkling caper follows Baroness Terry von Hohenfels, played by Kay Francis, a woman whose life of luxury gets a jolt of excitement when a dashing thief robs her favorite jewelry store. What makes Jewel Robbery such a standout is its playful spirit. The Baroness isn't just a damsel in distress. She's quick-witted, unflappable, and more than a match for the smooth criminal who sweeps her off her feet. Their flirtatious banter crackles with energy, and the film dances right up to the edge of what was considered proper at the time. One of the film's most talked about scenes involves a little cigarette passed around during the robbery. Its effects leave everyone giggly and dazed, a wink to the audience that would have raised plenty of eyebrows. The movie never lectures or moralizes. Instead, it lets its characters revel in the excitement and unpredictability of life. Jewel Robbery wasn't just daring because of its content, but also for the way it invites viewers to root for its rule-breaking, clever leads. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest thrill comes from seeing someone get away with it and look fabulous while doing so. Love Me Tonight, 1932. Love Me Tonight is more than just a musical. It's a whirlwind of romance, humor, and playful rebellion against tradition. The story follows a humble tailor, played by Maurice Chevalier, who finds himself mistaken for a nobleman and welcomed into high society. Rather than correct the error, he runs with it, charming everyone in his path, including the princess, played by Jeanette MacDonald. What set this film apart in its day was its gleeful approach to bending the rules of class and decorum. The music, written by the legendary Rodgers and Hart, is infectious, with lyrics that sparkle with cleverness and innuendo. The film uses its songs not just for romance, but for sly jokes and knowing glances between characters. Love Me Tonight is filled with moments that poke fun at the stuffy expectations of high society, allowing its characters, especially the women, to express themselves with freedom and wit. The princess is no shrinking violet. She's smart, funny, and eager to experience life beyond her royal bubble. Audiences at the time were captivated by the film's infectious energy, while censors grumbled about its flirtatious humor and playful disregard for the proper order of things. Today, Love Me Tonight remains a vibrant, joyful celebration of love, music, and the fun that comes from mixing things up. Night After Night, 1932. Night After Night marks Mae West's film debut, and what a debut it is. She plays Maudie Triplett, a sharp-tongued, streetwise woman who's seen it all and isn't afraid to let anyone know it. The film centers on a nightclub owner trying to win back a former love, but it's Mae West who steals every scene with her effortless charisma and rapid-fire comebacks. What makes this movie unforgettable is the way West's character confidently navigates the world around her. She isn't shy about who she is or where she's been, and she's quick to remind everyone that she owes her success to her own wits. In fact, when a prim society lady comments, "Goodness, what beautiful diamonds," West fires back, "Goodness had nothing to do with it, dearie." Night After Night was considered bold not only for its cheeky humor, but for presenting a woman who was entirely in control of her fate. Audiences were delighted by West's larger-than-life presence and her refusal to play by anyone else's rules. The film's blend of comedy and candor became the blueprint for her legendary career. Even in her first film role, Mae West demonstrated that sometimes the biggest laughs come from those who break the mold and do it with style. Girls About Town, 1931. Girls About Town is a smart, lively comedy about two best friends, Wanda and Marie, who work as party girls, hired to entertain wealthy men at fancy gatherings. But don't be fooled. This isn't a story about damsels in distress. Instead, it's a celebration of clever, independent women making their own way in a world that expects them to play nice. Wanda and Marie are funny, quick-thinking, and fiercely loyal to each other. Their adventures take them through a series of wild nights, misunderstandings, and romantic mishaps. But at every turn, they manage to outsmart the men who think they can buy their affection. The film's dialogue sparkles with wit, and the women are portrayed as resourceful, modern, and unapologetically themselves. What made Girls About Town stand out in its day was its frank approach to topics that Hollywood would soon shy away from. The film doesn't judge its heroines for their choices. Instead, it invites viewers to root for them as they navigate the ups and downs of city life. The message is clear. Friendship, laughter, and a good sense of humor can get you through just about anything. For audiences in 1931, Girls About Town was a breath of fresh air. It offered a glimpse of a world where women called the shots and looked fabulous doing it. Call Her Savage, 1932. Call Her Savage isn't just a title, it's a warning. Clara Bow stars as Nasa Springer, a rebellious young woman whose fiery temper and wild behavior scandalize polite society at every turn. Nasa refuses to be tamed, charging through life with the energy of a cyclone, and the film never backs away from showing her at her most unpredictable, getting into brawls, thumbing her nose at authority, and stirring up a storm wherever she goes. What made Call Her Savage so shocking for its time was its unapologetic portrayal of a woman who refuses to conform. NASA's escapades, fighting, gambling, and running with a fast crowd would have been more than enough to land the film in hot water. But the movie also hints at deeper struggles, exploring themes of family secrets, personal pain, and the search for acceptance. The story moves at a breakneck pace, with Clara Bow anchoring the action in every frame. She delivers a performance that's both fearless and nuanced, balancing moments of brashness with glimpses of real vulnerability. Critics of the day were shocked by the film's relentless energy and its refusal to punish NASA for her independence. Audiences, however, couldn't look away. They were captivated by Bow's magnetic presence and the film's willingness to go where others feared. Call Her Savage endures as a bold, breakneck roller coaster ride and a monument to the power of living on your own terms. Cocktail Hour, 1933. In Cocktail Hour, Kay Francis takes center stage as a modern, independent woman making her way in the big city. She plays Cynthia Warren, a talented illustrator who's just as comfortable at a drawing board as she is at a late-night party. Cynthia has no intention of settling down, despite pressure from family and would-be suitors. She's too busy enjoying life, her career, and, yes, the occasional martini. What made this film so daring in 1933 was its matter-of-fact embrace of a woman's right to pursue both professional success and personal pleasure. Cynthia is smart, stylish, and in total command of her destiny. She's not waiting for a prince to sweep her off her feet. She's out dancing, drawing, and living life to the fullest. The movie is full of sparkling banter, with Francis trading quips and sly looks with a parade of charming men. Cocktail Hour never judges Cynthia for her choices. Instead, it invites the audience to admire her ambition and independence. For audiences used to seeing women in more traditional roles, this was both a shock and a delight. Cocktail Hour stands as a tribute to the joy of making your own way in the world, with wit, style, and just the right splash of mischief. Ladies They Talk About, 1933. Ladies They Talk About pulls no punches when it comes to turning expectations upside down. Barbara Stanwyck stars as Nan Taylor, a quick-thinking bank robber who finds herself sent to prison after a daring heist goes awry. But instead of wilting behind bars, Nan becomes a force to be reckoned with, charming her fellow inmates, outsmarting the guards, and plotting her next move. What makes this film so notable is its gritty, honest look at life behind bars, and its willingness to show women as complex, resourceful, and fiercely loyal. The prison is a world unto itself, with friendships, rivalries, and alliances forming in every corner. Nan's journey is one of survival, but also of transformation, as she learns to navigate a world that refuses to play by the usual rules. The film's sharp dialogue and brisk pace keep things lively, and Stanwyck shines in a role that gives her room to be both tough and deeply human. Critics were shocked by the movie's refusal to moralize. Instead, it allows the audience to draw its own conclusions about right, wrong, and everything in between. Ladies They Talk About was ahead of its time in many ways, showing that women could be just as daring, clever, and resilient as any hero on the silver screen. It's a pre-code classic that still feels fresh and fiercely entertaining. The Greeks Had a Word for Them, 1932. If you think friendship and ambition don't mix, The Greeks Had a Word for Them is here to change your mind. This sparkling comedy centers on three single women, Schatze, Polaire, and Jean, living in New York City and using their wits to climb the social ladder. The film is a delightful romp through the highs and lows of city life. The women are unapologetically ambitious, charming rich men and enjoying the best that Manhattan has to offer. But beneath the laughter and parties, the movie is also about the power of friendship. No matter what trouble they get into or what schemes go awry, they stick together. What made this film a lightning rod for controversy wasn't just the implied gold digging, but the open celebration of female independence. The leads don't wait for anyone to rescue them. Instead, they team up, take chances, and face the consequences with a wink and a smile. The snappy dialogue and rapid-fire plotting keep the energy high, and the film's refusal to condemn its heroines was nothing short of revolutionary. The Greeks had a word for them, shows that sometimes the best plan is the one you make with your best friends. And a little bit of attitude. International House, 1933. Few films capture the wild, anything-goes energy of pre-code Hollywood, like International House. Set in a luxury hotel in China, the movie gathers a cast of comedians, performers, and would-be inventors for a raucous weekend of chaos. At the center is the search for a revolutionary new invention, the radioscope, a kind of proto-television. The story itself is just a loose excuse for comedy, song, and spectacle. W.C. Fields steals scenes as a cheerfully dishonest hotel guest, while Gracie Allen and Burns provide their trademark banter. Cab Calloway and Baby Rose Marie perform musical numbers that light up the screen, and the entire hotel becomes a playground for hijinks and mishaps. What made International House so daring was its parade of quick jokes, racy innuendo, and sheer disregard for the usual rules of polite society. The women are as outspoken and clever as the men, and the film revels in its anything-can-happen spirit. Audiences of the time were dazzled by the mix of comedy, music, and outrageous stunts. Censors, on the other hand, shook their heads at the film's lively disregard for convention. Today, International House stands as a joyful and narcic tribute to a brief moment in Hollywood history when nothing was off limits, and laughter ruled the day.